Hey guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing with you my take on sketch number 17 from the 6x6 sketch bundle that I have been working through. I am pretty much behind. I'm not sure what sketch the Facebook group is on right now, and the second group already started, so they're on week 1, I think. So I think this coming Monday might be week 20. So my goal for myself is to kind of get through all of them by the end of next week. So I'm sharing 17 today. I'm working on 18. 19 is done. I just need to edit the video and then I need to start on 20. So I'm kind of like riding the high of actually getting through this, that I didn't give up, that kind of thing. Definitely a fun journey to kind of figure out more ways to make 6x6 paper pads work for layouts. So for mine, I am using a really old, like Mickey type themed collection from Simple Stories. I don't know what it's called. It's probably Say Cheese or something like that. And it's really old. And it just ended up working out. Like I had shared in my prep video, the theme of this birthday party was actually Mickey Mouse, and it was the red, yellow, and black kind of color scheme, whereas I haven't done any of our Disney photos yet because to me Disney is more like rainbow and like all the colors, not just red, black, and yellow. So pretty much I have this collection to do things like this with, and like my son's first birthday party was pretty similar color themes, so that's probably why I have 3 of those snap packs. So like here I ended up going to those 6x4 cards and trimming down a bunch of those to get some more patterns that I liked. Some of the ones in the 6x6 pad I just wasn't feeling, and I have no problems cutting up like journaling cards and things that have like titles on the back. I will go straight to the back and find a pattern that I like and go ahead and use that. And then I did modify the sketch a little bit. She used 3x3 square photos going across the layout, and then her paper strips were 2x4s. I kept my paper strips 2x4s, but I did stretch my photos to where they are, oh shoot, no, I can't remember. They might be 6x3s or 5x3s. I can't remember if I completely doubled the area, but basically I wanted to fill in some of the white space. So for me, it was either add another row of 3x3 photos or make the photos taller. And so what I ended up doing before I kind of made a final decision was I actually looked at the photos that I would be printing, and I was noticing that they were going to not crop to a square very well. A lot of them, the focus of the image was already in a vertical alignment and would have worked well for like a tall and skinny print. So that was what I ended up doing. And I'm pretty sure these might be 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these are 6 inches. So basically my total from like top to bottom that's being spanned is a 10 inch, whereas on hers, it was more of like a 7.5 inch. And that's something that I do change about their sketches a lot. Because like I said, if I wanted to add more photos, I could have done a second row of 3x3 photos, which probably would have almost doubled the photos on the layout. So once I figured out, got everything cut down, that's when I will always go ahead and just put down my papers and put down my photos, because I don't like messing around with them and moving them around constantly while I'm trying to figure out embellishments. And I've talked about this before. Sometimes when I'm working on a layout and I'm doing a sketch, I can kind of see it in my mind and know the steps that I want to do. And maybe it's die cutting or it's a technique or it's stamping, and I can kind of know where it's going to go. And then there's ones like this where other than picking the supplies and the photos, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really have anything that I necessarily wanted to use or I wanted to focus on. And those are the layouts that I tend to just kind of leave a little bit more simple. And that's just a preference for me. So, like, most of her sketches, she does depict a lot of stitching because she does a lot of hand stitching on her own layouts. This one, I chose to not do the stitching, and I think it was just, honestly, I just either wasn't in the mood or didn't even really look that closely at the sketch to see if there was stitching. I definitely think if I did, it would have just added another kind of layer of interest to it. I probably would have just done some white colored thread on the portions where she showed it, and she just kind of showed it going up the edges of some of the pattern papers. But one of them, besides making the photos larger, the other modification that I did, and you're going to see in a little bit, is she's got three 3x4 photos clustered over on the right where the pattern paper is, and the title and some embellishing is over there. And then she has a 3x6 area on the left where you can see my gap is much bigger. That is where she depicted her journaling. Now, for whatever reason, and I did this in sketch number 3 was another example, and there was another one, I can't remember the number. A lot of times when I have a big block like that, and I know that that's where my journaling is going to be, it feels right in my mind to go ahead and put the title over there as well. And then in this case, I'm going to also put my photos over there, which we'll be getting to that here in a second. This won't stand out very well in the video for you guys, but I do like the way that it looks in person. A lot of times I like to have some sort of like finished edge where the pattern paper is and where my photos are on the cardstock. A lot of times it's just as simple as a strip of colored cardstock or pattern paper. In this case, I did like tone on tone. So the same paper I used for my background, I took a postage stamp type of border punch and punched 4 of those and just put them right onto the background paper. And like I said, you won't be able to see it in the video. You'll probably see it more in the photos, but to me, it's kind of like the period at the end of the sentence for me. It just kind of helps make those areas feel more finished in my mind. And then where the pattern papers and that white border were meeting, I kind of wanted just a little bit more of a defined edge. So I just took some light craft cardstock and cut a small strip. I didn't really want to focus on like a specific color from the pattern papers. So my go-to in that situation is to just pick a neutral that will work. And I didn't want to pick black because then to me, it's just weird where it touches like the black pattern paper. Do what works for you is basically where I'm going. And this is what works for me. Like, yes, it takes a couple extra minutes to do this, but I really do like the end result of it just kind of, like I said, it's just kind of, to me, it's like the period at the end of the sentence. So from here, I typed up my journaling on some smooth white cardstock, and I'm just going to kind of fit it into this area that I'm pretty sure is pretty much just a like 6x6 opening. And I'm going to have this be the placeholder for my title, most of my embellishments, and then like I said, instead of clustering the 3x4 photos over on the right like the sketch shows, I'm going to choose them to put them over here on the left because that just made more sense to me and what based on the modifications that I had already made. And then this punch I had shared in a haul video. I'll link it down below. It ends up doing, I think, 6 different sized Mickey heads all at once. So I punched a ton of them with smooth white cardstock so that I can go ahead and just layer them and kind of make my own little chipboard embellishments. And then I'm going to punch some out with the same pattern papers that I was using as well for like the top layer. And this is one of the things that I will work on while my son is up here using the computer, and he's got a couple different times during his day where I prefer to sit with him to kind of be a second set of ears listening to instructions, just because Let's face it, he's a boy and he doesn't necessarily listen to instructions that well. And then come the end of the day, we have like a tearful meltdown situation. So it's just kind of easier for me to be up there and hang out. And like, you guys can't see it, but actually off to the side, I actually have a piece of paper where I make notes as the teacher's talking so that later when he asks me, I can refer back to that and say, no, she said you need to turn in this, or, you know, you only had to answer these questions, like that kind of thing. As far as an update on that, my kids need to go back to school. Like, I feel like there's definitely people experiencing bigger issues than we're experiencing. I think in our case, it's not an accurate representation of, like, my son in particular. It's not an accurate representation of his learning when you look at his grades, basically. And then my daughter just had her last day yesterday with her substitute. So she had a sub for 6 weeks because her teacher was out on maternity leave. And her teacher this year comes back on Monday, and it's actually her teacher from last year's daughter. So we love her. She's very sweet. The mom in me got used to the substitute and she rocked. So I'm kind of just a little nervous about kind of getting reacclimated to another teacher's style when we're all kind of like, okay, we've got 6 weeks under our belt and like that little tiny boost of confidence. And then now it's like, okay, take 2 steps back because we don't really know how much the teacher was doing behind the scenes while she was on maternity leave. I did see that she was doing a lot of the grading and some of the assignment posting, so I'm hoping that there was some behind the scenes sort of passing of the baton. Luckily, it is only 2nd grade, which that's not to say that they're just coloring all day, but if I had to choose between 2nd grade and 4th grade, I feel like 2nd grade's a little bit easier. I think the kids acclimate a little bit quicker, and plus her personality is just a little bit different than my son, so yeah, if you're watching this on Monday, think of me and hope that it's going well. So anyways, while I was blabbing on about that, I went ahead and put those 3x4 photos that I was talking about over on the left. I actually ended up trimming them down a little bit smaller just to fit better. And I didn't really measure what they were. They probably ended up being more like 2.5 by 3. I just kind of trimmed things out of the background and eyeballed making them smaller. And then just kind of layered them over all those little Mickey heads that I had put down. And then I used the letter stickers that came with the sticker sheets from that collection, basically to just do my title, which says Happy Birthday Junior, which the smaller photo lower right, which when my head's not in the way, that is actually my brother, who is 4 months older than my son. So technically we went to my kid's uncle's birthday party. Yeah, it's confusing. So it was a good time. It was kind of one of the first parties that we had gone to over at my dad's house after sort of not talking for a few years. And it was like just a unique experience because up until then, anytime we had gone to parties with kids, you know how it is when you take like young kids somewhere, you feel like you have to be on them and you have to make sure that they're not breaking anything and you have to sit with them when they're eating and that kind of thing. And this was a whole completely different vibe just from, you know, how many people are there and my stepmom and all her siblings and stuff. And I feel like my kids were just running around and I didn't see them for 3 hours and I got to sit down with a beer and a plate of food and not have to chase kids around. So it was awesome. And, you know, over the years, like my kids have gotten super used to going to parties over there and just kind of knowing that when they go there, they're going to get loaded up on candy from that set of grandparents and all the aunties and stuff over there. So it definitely was kind of a fun trip down memory lane to work on these photos and just kind of remember going to this party and kind of watching them sort of just have free reign while we were there. And so again, like I was talking about earlier, as far as keeping it simple, over on the right hand side, I just took one of the little phrase stickers from the sticker set and some more of those Mickey heads and just kind of layered them over here. Wasn't really following like the sketch as far as where to put them or anything. Like I said, once I kind of start modifying a sketch, I just go with what I like and what makes sense for me, and try not to put too much pressure on like following the sketch to a T. There are times that I do, just because I either love everything about the sketch, or maybe the photos and the supplies that I have chosen work really well for that. But in this case, I was already doing a lot of modifying, and like I said, I didn't have anything really planned. I didn't have like any kind of techniques that I was focused on, any supplies besides the Mickey head punch that I was really wanting to play with. So my go-to is just to keep it simple, put things where I think that they look balanced, and kind of move on to the next thing. And so like I said, I am working on 18. 19 is actually done. You'll probably see that one first, and then I can get going on number 20. And I'm kind of glad that the next, like I said, the one that I'm working on and then 20, I do have a plan for, and I do have like some techniques and some tools and stuff that I want to go ahead and play with. And those are kind of the ones that take me a little bit longer, just because I'm excited about them, but then there's maybe more time consuming things. Like one of them is pretty die cut heavy. One of them is probably going to involve stamping and stitching type stuff. So yeah, sometimes take a look at the sketch, and if it's not going to work for you, try changing parts of it and implement something that does work for you. So with that, that is my completed layout, and I've got some detail photos for you. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by, watching my videos, and leaving comments. And I will catch you guys hopefully sometime next week with another video from the 6x6 paper pad series, depending on my computer time. But for now, I'll say bye.